go. Okay, so the first step we're going to do is we're going to add some jaggery per watering can. We need to put about that much, which roughly works out at about 0.5% to whatever water quantity, by volume now, that you're going to be adding. So once we've done that, we can add our water. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a little bit of water so I can actually really swirl up this jaggery. Now if you have molasses, you might want to actually heat the water a little bit as well, and it'll dissolve pretty nicely. Now that's our sugar sorted. Now we need the microbes. And it's very easy to get microbes into your actual tea, but we don't want in this case to have any sand or any bits and pieces in there. So I'll show you now in a second how we get around that. Now all I gotta do is take a little bit of this and dump it into my bucket, which I just did. That was 2 handfuls, and that's all I need. Swirl it around a bit. Now what I could do for the next 2 hours, I could actually just put it into a container, seal the lid, and just shake it and open the lid and let air in there and just kind of make a starter so the microbes have a kind of a bit of a head start. But I'm just going to use this for inoculating the biochar. Now if you don't have this kind of compost heap, what you're going to have to do is just go to the forest, anywhere where the soil hasn't been disturbed for a long time, and just take you know, about that amount from the top, maybe 10 centimeters, because that's where you're going to have all the good aerated bacteria, fungi, and especially if you're seeing fruiting bodies of the actual fungi, those are always going to be good beneficial decomposing fungi as well. So those are the ones we want. Oh, it just smells lovely. Now I did pre-stir this actually every 10 minutes or so. I kind of went like that, slurred it about a bit, just so the oxygen still keeps going in there, every 10 minutes or so, and that was it for the last 2 hours. It was actually a little bit of work, but that ensures that all the bacteria, the fungi, everything is actually suspended now in the water. That's where we want it. And now the next step is going to be to sieve this out and just have the actual liquid in there, because I want to make sure that it's only biochar that we're going to have in our growing medium. Okay, simplest way to do it, get yourself a nice fine sieve, not too fine. You want some holes in there because you want, of course, fungi hyphen to get through. And then when you're pouring, make sure you're basically... Now you could actually just pour the whole thing into a watering can and use it as is, because I'm just doing this so I want to show you that I'm not actually using any sand in there or anything like that, just actual charcoal. And it doesn't have to stay that clean. Now when I'm pouring in here, you'll see that any kind of bits and pieces of sand or anything like that that may be in the compost, because I did turn it quite a bit, is going to stay here at the bottom. So we're excluding that from the mix, and that's it. Pretty much only compost tea-ish kind of mixture only. And you can just use compost tea as well, of course. Now, that's all we gotta do. Get a bit of water into our watering can. And let's pour our mix in there. And this is what we're going to now use to inoculate the biochar with. Perfect. Okie dokie. So what I've done is, this is coconut fiber biochar. Now you can use any type of biochar, charcoal. I want to try at some stage using just bits and see how that works. But for now I'm going to use just kind of fibery kind of material like this, and one could also just mix in like some powdered charcoal if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use it as is because I think there's some powder in there, there's some fiber in there, and then of course there's these bits and pieces in there. And if you're doing this with normal charcoal that isn't being used, been made from the actual fiber like this, the coconut fiber, then just use different sizes of aggregates and you should be okay. And add a bit of powder in with it, and that should be fine. Now, I pre-soaked this, so it is quite wet already, which is what you want. just with water. It doesn't smell like anything. Literally, there's no bacteria, there's nothing in there. And what we want to do now is we want to spread it out to about 5 to 10 centimeter height. That's really important because we want it to stay aerated. And let's spread that out. And you guess what is next, what comes next is very, very simple. All we got to do now is inoculate this charcoal with the water or the compost tea mixture that we made just a minute ago. Go. And that's all there is to it. And we just wait now 2 days here in the tropics. In the west you actually would wait at least a week for this to start doing its magic. So I might just put a little bit like this on, because I want those fungi hyphen in there as well in case this blocks them up too much. There we go. It's gone. It smells lovely in 2 days' time. It might even form aggregates. That's what we kind of want. That'll be interesting to see. And that's it. Now it's 1 week later, which is surprising because like I've done these kind of things before where I've done like small amounts and grown in small pots using just charcoal, and within like 2 days the actual charcoal powder will turn into aggregates, and basically there's no smell here. So I'm really perplexed because normally it would happen. Now there is a reason, and I'll show you in a minute why I think this is still going to work and I'm going to go for it. But what I did before is I used a kind of a soft wood material that I could powder down, and basically this is, and that was burned probably at a much higher temperature, whereas this is kind of burned at lower temperatures. So in the actual material itself you won't get all these kind of, I don't know, cavities forming as you would with the actual higher burn temperatures as well. So probably less microbes could probably get in there. Also I tested the pH, and the pH is quite high, it's very alkaline. There is a way of turning that into a more neutral pH by adding just pure EM2, and that's quite acidic, and that usually balances the pH. I've done some trials on that as well. I didn't film any of this, by the way, because I just wanted to test for myself and really just try out these things first before I actually make a video about it. And so today I am going to use this, and now I'll just show you why I think this is still going to work. But look at this germinated seedling. And that can only happen if there is actually nutrients being able to be taken up. Now granted, there might be actually still some nutrients in the germ, in the seed itself, that the actual little seedling is using. But you know that it actually can have roots in there. I think it's going to be fine. It's not going to be too alkaline or too harmful for the little plant. So I'm going to start now with planting this. Okay, so next day, and basically I've built the tower now, and I put it on two lats like this. First of all, it's very, very light in weight compared to, like literally all it's holding is actually the weight in water that the actual charcoal is holding. So it's actually quite light, and it's no problem putting it on this coconut beams of wood, which is not the strongest wood, but it should be fine. And I have just a tray under here, and it rained last night, so it got filled up a little bit. And the plan now is, what I've done is I put 2 seeds of beans in each. I'm going to try out a nitrogen fixer in this kind of system. I'm also putting turmeric in there, which I've washed off the roots really, really well. So it's just growing in the actual charcoal. And then I put on some samba spinach because we're here a little bit in the shade, and I just had some cuttings and I wanted to try something where we have cuttings. So nitrogen fixing, roots and cuttings, and that's what I just had available right now at this point of time. So that's it. I'll plant my turmeric, and I'll talk to you again in about 3-4 weeks time when everything's growing lushly as well. Nice. Just there. My wife, Salu, is back. And she's come in today because my back is hurting, and so she helped actually dig this hole because I have a bit of a problem with my discs every now and again. So my love, thanks for coming in. Now, what are we doing? We're going to do now the pump setup, and I'm just going to show you how this is going to be, or we are going to show you how this is going to be set up. And it's basically going to be a type of waterfall. So the liquid is going to come in through this tower. It's going to go in here. We're going to make a cut in here, right? And then it's just going to go in there. Then the pump is going to go in here, and it's going to pump it all back up again. And it's going to be a continuous circle like that, which is nice. And then the tower acts as a kind of a aerating system as well, like a drip system, and it'll bring the air into the actual compost tea.
That sounds amazing.
That's pretty good, huh? Yeah. And what did we actually grow in here this morning? What was it? Huh?
I don't remember.
Okay, it was actually a kombucha fungi swimming, floating on top of this when we got here this morning, which is really amazing. Is there still? Okay, there's still a little bit here left. Look. Look at that. Proper kombucha fungi. This is amazing. Okay, my love, what you do is just putting it more, just trying it out, I guess.
What do you think? Is it good? Is it working?
Yeah, it seems to be. Now, we had a bit of a problem when this was a bit further back. The water from the top reservoir was actually going around here and then managing to get over the lip here. So we had to pull this in a bit further, out a bit further. Now we also have an overflow here. See, my love? There's a hole I drilled. And that is because at a later stage, sometime I might even try putting in some fish in here and some azolla.
Azolla, what's that?
That is a type of fern that grows on top of the surface of the water, and it forms a kind of symbiosis with nitrogen fixing bacteria. And then what it'll do is it might even do benefit oxygenate the water and clean it a bit, and then we can put fish in there, and the fish poop and pee will become the actual fertilizer for the plants. But we're going to just do compost tea for now in this trial. It'll become more clear now in a short while. It does look a bit like, what the heck is he doing? Okay, so the stick, I stuck that in, right? So we have a airlift pump going to go in here. And that's going to be, I'll show you now in a second what that is. Very simple design. It's going to go up this stick around here, and then it's going to shoot some water in here. When this fills up, it's going to dump the water into our tower, and then it'll water the entire tower, and the water will get oxygenated because it's dripping through the entire tower. And then it'll go back in here, and it'll be pumped back up again, and it'll be a circle. And if it rains, we'll have a bit of overflow here. So what it is it's a pipe. That's going to be our pipe that lifts up the water. So this is going to go on top of this thing here. This is the pipe that is full of air. It's attached to two small aquarium pumps. And then what you do is, I've drilled a hole here, and it's really tight, so this fits just barely in there, so it doesn't let out any air. Okay?
Does it have to be smaller than this one?
Yes, that's really important as well.
Why?
Because now I can't explain it properly because in physics it's very hard to explain this, okay? It's a phenomenon, let's just call it a phenomenon, okay? That when you constrict this pipe with this pipe, and you put this entire section, this airlift pump, deep into the water, the deeper you put it, the more it can actually lift droplets of water inside this pipe. So the air from this pipe pushes, and there will be quite a lot of air, even with 3 watts, that's all we're talking about with the aquarium pumps. It'll lift up the little droplets in front of itself. And so you'll see now, when it's in action in a minute, it'll just spout out these little droplets because of the air pushing it up. Yes, ask away.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have a certain distance here where you make the hole. Is that of importance?
That is as well. It's quite difficult to actually find the correct distance. So you just mess around until you get it. It's not easy. This airlift thing is not always easy. But I mean, the main thing here is that this area can suck in the water. So it's open-ended. This can suck in the water, and this air bit pushes the air. It doesn't want to go out this way, it wants to go up. So as it's going up, it's going to suck this water in behind itself the water is then going to be in front of the next air bit in a way, and it's going to push it up, these droplets. And the deeper it sinks into a tank, and that's why we have this tank, and we can add fish and stuff in if we want at any point, the higher it's going to push up those droplets as well. And the thinner this pipe is going to be, the higher you can go as well with your droplets. The thicker this pipe is, the less you can actually go. So you tied it on, huh?
Yeah, still on it.
That's pretty cool. Now Salu is stirring our starter compost tea. Now I did inoculate, if you remember, the actual biochar beforehand, but we just want to do another little inoculation now because I didn't do anything. We want to do a kind of a compost tea now. So this is just a handful of the really good compost and about a handful of jaggery, which is the palm sugar, or you could use molasses as well, and just a little bit of water. And now for the next 20 minutes we're knocking, or rather Salu's knocking off the microbes off the actual compost. Okay, so we haven't set it up yet fully to go into the thing. It just needs a bit more tweaking to get it to go in there. For now we're just going to have it like that. Gonna put this, already sieved this mixture. This is the compost tea that Salu just stirred. And you doing okay, yeah? Okay. Salu got a bit heat stroke, so we better get out of here fast. I'm just gonna put this in here. And then we just put a bit of water in there. And the main thing is the majority of the microbes should be actually on the... Put some in here as well, some in there. But the majority should be in the actual biochar. So I think we'll just pour it in here. Let that go through all the systems. That's it. Now, after making this fountain, I realized pretty fast that the amount of water that's coming in through this actual airlift pipe is sufficient to be able to actually fill up this little small, or not rather fill it up, but spread the water sufficiently enough in this little reservoir to actually have a kind of a constant drip going through all the areas of this entire tower. But to be honest, this grey tray is the best thing ever, and let me show you why. This actually came, incidentally, this came with the actual tower itself, and of course it's designed properly for the job because it needs to do this job properly. And let me just show you why. First of all, the holes are small enough for enough water to spread out as it comes through the pump. And because there's these triangles, so this raised triangles here, and this is hollow here, a lot of the water, when it hits here, it starts dispersing into these grooves here. I don't know if you can see this on the video. And it goes towards these little circles then. So you see here the triangle, this is the raised part and this is the lower part. And so a lot of the water then goes towards the hole. So we only need a little amount of, that means we need a little amount of water for it to go towards all the holes. And let me just show you what it looks like inside the tray. And I'm just going to line up the holes perfectly with each pocket. I'll bring you a bit closer. Alright, let me just show you quickly then. What I've done is I've placed this pipe roughly around here inside this bamboo piece. The bamboo piece is just holding it there in place. It's also helping with the dispersion of water a little bit. And so you can see here it's constant dripping because there's way more water coming out of that airlift pump than I had anticipated. So we're talking here nearly about a liter every 6 minutes or so, which is more than enough to be kind of emptying the very lowest tank, which is about 20-30 liters. So you can do the calculation yourself that basically eventually the compost tea is going to be fully cycled within like 2 hours or so, which is more than enough to oxygenate the entire water in the actual compost tea. And that's it. That's basically all we got to do. And the actual trays that come with the tower even work. So if you don't have this tower, you can actually make your own type of tower, and I might make another video on that at some stage. We have here now a week later with stuff growing pretty okay. I'm still surprised it's doing so well, and I haven't added any more nutrients, any sugar, anything like that. What I have found, and this is really interesting, is that the water in here is as pure looking and as clean looking as any kind of water you'd ever see anywhere. And it was this kind of rusty, dirty kind of water that it started off with from the well, and it's really purely clean now. I'm really surprised. Now I did look at it under the microscope, and there was hardly a speck of dust in it, like literally nothing in it, which is no bacteria anyway, which means all the compost tea that was in this system, which wasn't that much anyway, is basically now in the charcoal, making lovely nutrients for all these plants. And I think you could actually use this to purify water. I mean, charcoal is used for purifying water, it goes without saying. Now if you want to do this with a aquaponics system and you have like a whole bell siphon setup, you could actually put a layer of kind of this porous rock on top of the charcoal to prevent it from floating. This may work, may not work, so see how that goes. pH is still very alkaline, I tested that as well. And there are certain plants, just to let you know, that will just thrive in acidic conditions, and others, and I think this ashwagandha spinach does better in acidic conditions. Others will thrive in alkaline conditions, but most vegetables can take the nitrogen of both. So you definitely won't find any fungi in here. You have a lot of bacterial activity in here, and that's basically it. Alright, so it's 4 months later, and I know the video is getting a little bit long, but I really want to add this on because it is not ideal. There's some yellowing on the leaves, but very little, considering that these are only having 2 hours of sunshine and very little compost tea. I mean, they're basically growing in water at this stage. I did add, like, the first 2 or 3 weeks after starting this whole thing, I did add a bit of more sugar, just a little bit on top. And I only did that twice, and then I kind of forgot all about it, maybe even 3 times. And then I forgot for months about it. I mean, it's 4 months later, and the plants are just still growing pretty incredible. Like they have to, like they're way bigger than they were, which of course tells you that they need, in order to make the cell wall, they need some kind of nutrients. There's over 90 nutrients and elements that plants need. And nitrogen and a few others being like, you know, where they need a lot. And you can see that they've managed to build so many nutrients as well by just the amount of growth. I mean, look at these samba spinaches and no sunlight whatsoever, or very little. Now, just quickly I want to show you here we have, this is actually pretty well stuck together. So there is some, not like really stuck together, it wouldn't be like that. Even the soil wouldn't be like that unless it had roots in it and fungi hyphen in it. But it's stuck enough together to kind of say, well, there is some kind of bioslime in there. So the bacteria, of course, tweaking the soil to what they want. And I have done a pH test. Before it was blue, it's going down now to the red. It's going down to the green. Which is suggesting that it's more at a neutral place, which is interesting because I've also found that, and I think this has only happened in the last month and a half, and don't forget nutrient cycling is very quick here, the samba spinach wasn't doing this great, and the pH has changed, I'm thinking, and of course, you know, some, like this one probably likes the whole pH range being more in the acidic or neutral. And now that that has happened, the plants are doing way better because of course they need the pH that they need in order to do the nutrient cycling as well. So bear that in mind too. Whew, I'm gonna slow down a little bit. I'm still recovering from the whole dengue thing and it's kind of knocked me sideways. But I'm really, I can't tell you how chuffed I am with this result. Somebody who's been growing since he's 4, I can tell you, there's no way this should happen in like 2 hours of sunlight. Now the beans are of course not doing that great. They're actually on their way out, to be honest. 4 months later, they don't last that long. They also didn't make any flowers, they didn't make any beans. That's to be expected. if they don't get at least 5 hours of sunlight or so, the flowers will just fall off. That will happen in the garden as much as it's happening here in the charcoal. If they don't get sunlight, that's what happens. But I mean, that samba spinach is great, and that turmeric isn't, you know, it's not doing bad, like, it's doing great. There's a certain amount of nutrient cycling happening, of course. This water is clear. So in order to kind of try and get this, because there is a bit of yellowing, in order to get this nitrogen cycling kind of tweaked a little bit, I'm going to add some, as an experiment, some azolla, which is a fern that swims on top of the water. It forms a symbiosis with nitrogen fixing bacteria. And I want to see if then some of that nitrogen somehow may end up in the water and just help that whole system out a bit. That's the next experiment, a little mini experiment, let you know on how that goes. And then after about 2-3 months, if I see any change or no change, I'm going to add some fish to the whole thing as well, just small baby ones, and see how that goes as well. Because the compost tea now, I don't know where it's gone. It's gone. I could have added more compost tea. Maybe that would have been a cool experiment as well. You're more than welcome to try this experiment yourself. Just bear in mind that you have to set it up with this drip system, because it's just going to float otherwise, unless you put some solid heavy stuff, a thick layer on top of your existing system. So that's basically it. Now I have to talk a little bit quickly just about, this is actually a Patreon only video, and I'm really happy that I managed to add this bit now 4 months later onto this video and release it now. But I am really sorry for those of you who, you know, you stuck with me for the 3 months. I wanted to try it out 3 months and just to see, does it actually make sense? But I felt really bad, because in a way, like, first of all, nobody, like 7 or 8, 9 of you maybe donated $1 more. 2 people actually donated $15. So whatever you donated, I really appreciate that. Your help has been very helpful. But so I decided, you know, I'm just going to turn it into a tip jar, because my feeling was like, I also don't like this exclusive kind of thing, and this kind of information is really cool, and I want more people to know about it, basically. So please, I'm sorry that I didn't continue this. It's also a lot more work, and I don't have that much time, to be honest. I'm flat out busy. So I've just turned it into a tip jar. Anybody wanting to support this channel, you're more than welcome to do it. I also have another Patreon account, which is just for material costs for this project itself. So if you don't want to support the videos and help me out, and you really want to support if you don't want to like put the money towards, let's say, me, you can put the money towards the project, which in a way all works out the same, because I'm paying to do this project. So anyway, so your help is much appreciated. $1 a month will go a long way for us here to do this voluntary project, which we pay to do. Just to say that as well. But no obligations, you know, like there were some people who were getting a little bit offended that I asked for money. My God, Jesus. I asked you for $1 and you get really offended and give me like nasty comments. And I'm like, geez, you don't have to. And by the way, Jesus is a Irish way of saying, wow, man, you don't have to donate. Like, you know, I'm not taking anybody for a ride here, you know. But people get so offended. I don't get it. That's it. Long video, sorry about that. I had a lot to say, because I've been making a lot of videos that say nothing, which are just more like music videos and me showing you stuff. I wanted to try that as well. Farmer's Journal kind of thing. Right, we'll get out of here now. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one too. Now those are the roots, and it swims like that on top of the water. Those are the roots, and somewhere there's nitrogen fixing bacteria, so it's some kind of fern. So we'll just stick it into the water and see if it can actually make some nitrogen for us. Now we'll sow it in there as well.